Why'd you change your character design?
Why did I change my designs? I think that, it would be, it's essential to always adapt to the tone and the direction of a new sort of story. But also, just on a personal note, I think it's easy to find something that works and play it safe and kind of only do that or stick to that. But I think that's also the safest way to become irrelevant, not just in terms of fan reaction or the reception of the stuff, but also when you're working and collaborating with different artists, like say working with Greg and Brandon on Young Justice, they're going to want to see something different than Jay and James Tucker are going to want to see. So, I have to change and adapt all the time. And also, just survival instinct, essentially, And wanting to be a good collaborator and, sort of contribute to the direction that we all collectively decide is something that we want to see.
How much from the Flashpoint comic did you actually take design-wise for the Flashpoint Paradox universe?
Well, we took a few things, but again, the characters are so classic and there's so many iterations over the decades that they've existed that everything is sort of like an evolution and stuff. I didn't find that there was anything. If there was something specific to the characters, then I tried to keep that. Like a lot of them have that circle around their symbol or whatever. That's in there on the characters where it was a major part of their costume. But again, I can't. It has been a while since I looked at the reference and since I designed the film, so I can't think of anything specifically that I didn't use that seemed like it would fit. I think I tried to use everything that felt like it would fit.
Was there anything that came up as a particular challenge going from the panel format to the animated format? Anything that came across that just didn't quite translate at first? Not from my position. I mean, maybe that's something that Jay would probably speak to better. I just essentially, for me, it's just creating a look for the world, so certainly there are things that work in comic books that don't work in animation, characters with too much detail that's superfluous or extraneous or doesn't have a mechanical function and can't necessarily translate well to the art, the economy of animation, but I usually go on instinct on that one,
Passes for your friends?
Yeah.
Should have been in your bag?
Was not.
No tickets for tonight?
No.
Just yours was in there?
I don't I just have my badge. Okay.
Well, like you said, it's been a while since you've done it, but do you remember who your favorite was to create coming out of the characters?
It's hard to pick a favorite, but I had a lot of fun with the Atlantean characters or the Atlantis characters. It was cool to design another Aqualad. Going back to Young Justice and then getting a chance to sort of redesign it and reinterpret it for that world. To me, I feel like Flashpoint. It was kind of like we really had to create something from whole cloth. It was very challenging production, and I feel like it led to some really interesting results. So I can't think of one specific character or anything like that. I feel like the whole thing was such a whirlwind in terms of how we put it together that it's interesting to look back at it as a whole for me as far as the design.
Well, Young Justice was great, so it was always fun to watch. So
oh, cool! Thank you.
I liked to, when I saw who's doing the art and stuff for it, I was happy.
Okay.
I enjoyed that show.
All right. I hope you weren't disappointed with Flashpoint.
I haven't been able to watch it.
Oh, you haven't seen it? Okay.
Yeah, the things that producer might say. Now you don't belong. That's
oh my God! All right. So how do you recover from that one?
Cigarette.
Okay. All right. Lost your credentials. I guess so.
See you later.
Nice to talk to you. Escorted in from the room.
So who's your favorite DC character just overall?
That's a boring answer. I'm going to go with Superman. Superman and Batman. They're the best. You know, I mean, I don't know. Like, I really have fun. I have fun with all of it. You know, I like to. The tradition of the DC characters is incredibly charming, and you know, I'm just always excited to be able to contribute some small part to that. So, you know, I love working on characters.
Has working on these projects given you more appreciation for certain characters or anything?
Oh yeah, all of them. I mean, or the ones that I, you know, have to, you know, study up on and fold into the projects that I work on. Certainly. I mean, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to pick favorites. But yeah, I love Captain Marvel. I love the idea of Shazam. You know,
Yeah.
it's such a charming idea. I think it speaks to, like, there's a kid in all of us, and you know, like the sort of heroic theme and stuff like that. So they're all great. It's really hard to pick a favorite.
So you got the chance to work on Flashpoint, which is obviously an epic storyline of the DC universe. Are there any other giant stories in DC that you'd like to take a look at?
No, I mean, I'm
done.
No, it's not any specific storyline. I love working on the characters, and it just like depends on what scripts come across our desk. You know, right now we're not doing straight up adaptations in the way that we did like Dark Knight in year one. A lot of the stuff is being sort of, you know, we're creating our own sort of continuity with it. But of course, it takes a ton from the comics. But there isn't one specific storyline. You know, I just take it project by project, essentially.
Who are your influences in comics art?
In comic book art? Overall, I would say when I was growing up, Otomo was big for me. It's not necessarily stuff you could see in my work, I don't think. But yeah, like the Capcom stuff was big for me. Otomo, I love Mobius, you know, I love, I'm lucky because I get to work with a lot of the guys that I admired in animation, guys like Bruce Timm and James Tucker. Mignola, I love that stuff. But again, I don't necessarily think that stuff is evident in my work. You know, I don't. It's hard to say what parts of it I assimilated and you know what parts actually influenced the aesthetic.
Character design is a really competitive field.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for people who are artists who want to get into it?
I would say, you know, that's a pretty broad question. I think, but you know, succinctly, if I could, it's you got to draw your butt off. I mean, it has to be depending on, you know, there's different talent levels. You know, people start out with different levels of natural ability, but a lot of it comes down to hard work. You know, I think if you're starting out, if you're a young artist, you know, it has to become in your top 3 priorities, essentially. It's like, you know, family, school, work, and then drawing has to be it, you know. You have to draw all the time to get good enough to not only to just break in, but then to stay competitive, you know. There's so much talent out there, and people are hungry, and they want, you know, you can't take it easy after you break in. You know, that's when the really hard work starts to kick in. So, just draw. You know, pencil mileage is what I always tell the young artists that ask me that. You know, and there's no simple answer for that, because you don't want to tell people, hey, don't look at other artists, you know, because that's actually good to look at other artists and be influenced by them and to actually study their work and do studies of it. But recently I actually passed on some advice to a young artist. I said she was good at, you know, studying somebody's stuff and drawing it exact, but try just glancing at the reference and putting it away and drawing what you remember. And then, of course, life drawing is huge, you know, actually studying the figure and stuff like that. So that's what I tell the young artists that ask me that question typically.
You guys have one more question for him or not? Okay, one last question.
At GoneToAGeek.com, we like to ask everybody, because everybody's a geek about something.
Sure.
What do you in particular geek out about?
Man, I mean, my job is I get to be the biggest geek in a sense. Like, I get to go to work and draw superheroes every day. That's like the biggest thing for me. I'm a fan of everything. I mean, I'm a fan of anime, American comic books, like movies, TV shows, everything. I don't know, Planet of the Apes, Star Wars, Robotech, you know. Double Dragon, Street Fighter. I don't know. Everything. I like everything. You know, Game of Thrones. It's hard to pick anything, like, because there's so. I mean, again, it's like, especially being at Comic-Con, it's overwhelming. You know, you're bombarded by it. So